I would prefer to use the word self-confidence and humility.
Okay.
And how do we find balance between self-confidence and humility, where in self-confidence you think you're the best and you still have the humility to learn. So your self-confidence doesn't go in the arena of arrogance.
Okay.
You know, so am I kind of on the same page? Great. Now, when I talk about self-confidence, I talk about trying to be the best version of yourself. You know, we are constantly updating our apps. We're constantly updating our operating systems, whether it's an iOS or an Android.
Yeah.
And the updation of the apps or the operating systems means to bring the best versions of what exist.
Yes.
And whenever you're updating to a higher version of yourself, you have to be able to give the best of yourself to it. Okay. If you stick to the older version, you reach the plateau and you don't have to work harder. But when you update yourself to a higher version, you have to give the best of yourself and 200% of your energy there.
Yeah.
Hard work, coming out of the comfort zone. Which is why many times I say, you are your own competition actually.
That's true.
Nobody is your competition.
That's true.
We have to compete with ourselves every single moment, every single day to get better than ourselves, to get the better versions of ourselves, to get the best version of ourselves. So when I talk about self-confidence, I talk about being the best version of yourself and having that full confidence that I can crack it. I can get there. Now, just because you're the best version of yourself doesn't mean that you're the best in the world, doesn't mean that you're the best in the universe. As soon as you start thinking that you're the best in the world, self-confidence turns into arrogance.
Yes.
The thin line between self-confidence and arrogance is self-confidence just makes you feel I'm the best of myself, and arrogance makes you think I'm the best in the world.
In the world, yes.
Right? So when we are talking about humility, we're talking about keeping our minds, our hearts, and our consciousness open to learn from the people around us. Everybody has so much to offer.
Correct.
Only arrogance stops you from growth. If there's one thing that's the greatest enemy of self-growth, arrogance. Thinking that I've cracked it all, thinking I know it all, there's no room for improvement, there's no scope for enhancing my skills, greatest enemy of growth. Which is why I think athletes, or anyone for that matter, has to have self-confidence, but they're constantly working on themselves to be the best version of themselves, but not lead into the arena of arrogance by cultivating requisite humility to keep that mind and heart open to learning from others. Therefore, they say minds are like parachutes.
Yeah.
They function only when they are open.
Is there a tangible skill or exercise that an athlete can use to constantly reiterate humility and practice humility? Are there small things like the example of how you gave me to be mindful in drinking your juice?
That's
Is there
right.
an example that you have in terms of practicing humility that can constantly ground them?
Correct. First thing I said is the basic ethic, which is openness.
Yeah.
The ethic behind that practice is openness. And the practice itself is, again, similar to what I said earlier, start with the small things.
Start with the small things.
I wouldn't mind respecting my lift man. If my lift man has something to teach me, be open to hear.
Yeah.
Be open to hear. It's hard to hear from people who are equal to you.
Yes.
It's easier in one sense to hear from people who are higher than you.
Yeah.
When people are higher than you, you take them as a person, the place of authority.
Correct.
They're better than you. In fact, whether you want to or not, you don't have a choice but to kind